pay by 50 cents per hour retroactively from April 28th, taking effect on July 5th, 2021. Do I have a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I make a motion. Kate, what is your, I'm sorry, I'm dying over here. Hannah. Okay. I make a motion to increase Kate Hannah's pay by 3%, taking effect July 5th, 2021. Do I have a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, Hendricks Group.
No, I think there's maybe some other people.
Yeah, there's somebody
I'm
else.
not trying to get,
I got it, no,
Oh,
I
I'm
appreciate
sorry.
it.
I'm still hoping that.
Mark, you had,
Yeah,
you
wait.
had something before the board?
Yes.
What's up?
In reading the meeting minutes from January due to the present, the first mention of Mr. DeFrancisco being appointed to the board is in April, where he is welcome to the board. I would like to know, when was the resignation of Mr. Armstrong tendered?
It was a month before. I mean, it was,
Yeah, something about a month before.
When was it accepted?
Had to be within a 30-day period, because we had.
yeah, we did it within a 30-day period. It was accepted.
Was there a vote? Was there some sort of process or,
We,
interview process or any kind of a vote that was documented?
it wasn't required. I mean, we,
It is required.
Well, when you say vote, what are you talking about?
Well, okay, the resignation needs to be public, the acceptance needs to be public, I don't see any, the first mention you see of Mr. DeFrancisco being appointed to the board is in April, where he's welcome to the board. That's the first mention. There's no mention of a resignation, there's no mention of that resignation being accepted, there's no mention of any discussion or vote or interview process. And all of a sudden, this,
An interview process is not required.
Pardon?
Interview process is not
Well, maybe
required.
not the interview process, but all these stuff should have been done publicly.
okay.
That's required by the law, and that's not in the meeting minutes.
I mean, if I can say, I know the last meeting I was at was the meeting Troy resigned at, and he resigned publicly.
Yes,
Right.
I did.
I remember that.
That was
March
March.
11th,
Yeah.
was that meeting.
That was
That
March.
Meeting, yeah.
If it's not documented, it's not done. If it's not documented, it's not done. In a regulated, and you guys are regulated, if it was not documented, it was not done.
Did you identify yourself for the
My
record?
name is Mark Nolan.
So,
I didn't review the minutes, I don't know what was in the minutes.
I have to pull them
No
up.
problem.
I
I
have
thought
it
that
with
was in there.
me.
I have March 11th meeting minutes right here, actually. I was gonna read something from it, but not that you were doing. Mine has to do with the tax.
Well, thank you for your comments.
I'm not finished.
Okay, go ahead.
So, Mr. Trey is up for re-election. Mr. DeFrancisco was appointed in April, so both of these positions should be on the ballot in November.
That's correct.
But according to Norristown, there's only one position. Now, they recently, the last week in June, they sent you a letter asking, who's going to be on the ballot, where the vacancies.
are you sure that was sent out?
It was.
Do you have any record that it was sent out?
Well, we talked to them. It's a red letter. They said they sent it, and there has been no response. So according to Norristown, there's only one position open, and we know there should be two. And we may want to run, the Democrats may want to run a candidate. So we want to know when this is going to be remediated.
It sounds like the county has not sent that paperwork out, and they
They
won't
said
do
they
it until August. So,
They said they sent it the last week in June, and it's a red letter, and it's delivered like in 2 days.
Did you,
yes,
did the township receive anything, Kate?
I have not seen anything though.
Okay.
yeah, I'm Mark on top of it.
Last week of June.
Do you know anything about this, Dave?
No.
About this red letter?
No.
Well, regardless, I'm going to notify them. When are you going to notify them that there's two open seats? There's
I
gonna
think
be-
that are we talking about them sending us this letter?
Well, they said they already did.
Okay, well,
They said they did.
okay.
Okay, so when are you going to respond that there's two openings?
Is it my obligation to respond to this?
Yes.
I'm talking to my solicitor.
we'll have to check with the Board of Election, I don't know
Okay.
what they're sending out. And someone has to notify them there are 2 openings, and who's gonna be on the ballot for 2 openings.
Okay. And that's probably something that we do through the party committees, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
So you're saying you did not get this letter,
I did not get this letter.
all right? And when you do, you're gonna respond ASAP, I would hope.
Yeah, I would hope.
I would hope.
Anything else?
That's it for me, I believe.
Okay.
I got one for you, not like that though. So mine had to pertain to, thumbing through the minutes here, just last month I saw, I believe it was Jared that made a statement about the fire tax that was discussed here. And everybody seemed to deny it. But it was actually in March's meeting minutes. That's how I have to have this here. And it's on page 4 that this is discussed, and it says emergency services tax. The discussion was held on increasing the tax. It says 22 mils, but it's really 0.22 mils. And it says the rate increase hasn't happened since 2010. And then it says a fire tax was also discussed. That was read into the meeting in May. I just wanted to clarify that. It was definitely discussed.
So, to backtrack on this,
Sure.
there were conversations about the emergency service / fire tax.
No, this just says fire tax.
Okay. But regardless, it is the same discussion. Okay?
No, it doesn't seem to be. Whenever I have the audio on my website,
Mm-hmm.
there was an EMS tax, and then it was brought up by Mr. Trey, and talked about with the solicitor, clearly in the audio.
Dave, do
yeah.
you want to clarify?
Well, there's
this?
different things. Emergency service tax is not a fire tax. There
And
is,
that's what he was asking.
there is a fire tax that you can impose, but we
Right.
we elected that to be put on the ballot for a fire tax.
And that's what you had said in March.
Yes.
Which we have no
And
plans
then
of
they
doing.
they have not been moved forward to do anything about that.
It might not have been any plans, but it was discussed.
Yeah, it was discussed.
Clearly it was discussed.
I think we're getting into
But
semantics here.
That's what you think, but you guys all denied that you even discussed it was the problem.
When?
In the main meeting minutes, that's what it said. That's why I came here tonight to read it to you.
Okay, let's read those minutes.
Okay. It's actually Jared who makes the comment. So he's right behind me, I'm sure he would know about it, if you want to ask him. You also addressed the dumping issue or something like that. I'm gonna guess this had to do with my paper whenever I ran against Mr. Trey here. And I addressed that on my website as well.
Bill, I'm not worried about your website, okay? The
I
question
didn't say
is,
a word. I was just trying to dispute what you
if
guys
there-
had already laid out in a meeting.
If there are issues that residents have, the township can help with, they need to bring it to the township's attention.
Sure.
So, I mean, to say that there's issues, I would like to hear about them. We want to help solve problems in this community,
Sure.
okay?
Well, we felt the need to bring it up in one of these meetings here, so I felt the need to clarify that. That's what I was doing today, doing some clarification.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think we did a pretty good job of clarifying that at the May meeting. So, I think that's well and clarified.
And what you clarified was that it wasn't discussed. You tried to clarify and
Do
say
you have these
that
minutes?
you wanted to talk about a reallocation, but a reallocation was actually never discussed. It was actually implementing a new fire tax. That's what was discussed.
No, we weren't implementing a fire tax.
You were actually the one that brought it up and spoke to the solicitor about it.
We're splitting the emergency service tax.
We split it currently.
And we were gonna bring it all together and give it all to the fire.
That's not what was said.
Okay.
That's,
What's going on.
That's
On
what's
the
happening.
record, that's what's going on. There
Okay.
is no fire tax. We're not gonna create a fire tax. We don't need one.
simple clarifications always.
So, make sure.
I actually thought you asked if the emergency service tax was the fire tax at one point.
Yes, I did.
I thought that's how it was.
Yeah.
At one
But
point.
Dave explained that it's two
It's
separate
two
areas.
different things.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So, in
Are we
addition to
all
that,
clear now?
I think, are we?
Should be. It's on the website for everybody here. I mean, I just wanted to come here and clarify it for Derek. It definitely wasn't a reallocation. That's what I'm clarifying.
Jared, do you have any, do you want to make any comments to Mr. Lambert? All right, great. Okay.
Look who's here.
Now we're back.
The man of the hour.
Welcome, Rick.
Guys, sorry, I couldn't get through, and then I looped around, and then I could get through.
Everybody else got the,
Okay.
there.
All right. Environmental engineers report.
Oh, good timing.
We're backtracking, we're going back.
Thanks, we'll give it to you. Here.
Not parked at my house and just walked out.
I didn't know that was an option. Not much to report. Everything seems to be running well. I'm sure Matt's told you, give them good there. We've got the NIPD's permit renewal applications over. Jackie's looked at them and said everything looked good, so we'll be submitting those. So that'll be the discharge permits for both Perk and Ivy. Looking at the water flows at Perk, things are looking good there. I'm not seeing anything on the charts that's saying, you know, more leakage. So that's a plus. We're keeping a close eye on that. And everything else pretty normal.
Okay, great. Cool.
Sorry, that was a letdown.
No. And look, just to backtrack, so dumping, where's the dumping taking place?
What dumping?
I'm not talking to you.
Oh, sorry.
I'm talking-
No, that's
I mean, we're talking about complaints about dumping. Has any dumping been, we talked about this before, where's,
It was just people in the township when I was running around for my candidacy. There was, residents next to Mr. Trey's farm on, I believe, Southford Station Road was concerned about it being used as a trash transfer station. Evidently, we had Greater Forbridge trash coming in to feed some hogs, and they thought it was illegal dumping. As Billy, is this not true? Did you have Greater for trash coming to your mother's place over there on Southford Station?
It's not trash, it's food waste.
Okay, but I'm just reporting
Trash
back.
and food waste are two different
I
things.
totally get that, I totally get that. I was simply reporting what I had heard. So you guys felt the need to bring that out here as well. I didn't want to bring that out. It was brought out here, so I brought it up again. So that was the dumping that was a major concern. They're the same folks that was worried about their wells. There's a couple of folks, and I put this on the website too. They were concerned about their drinking water, so they put ultraviolet lights on there. I say if they're worried about it, and it's the folks right behind there, maybe we test their wells for them. I don't have a problem with my well water. But these were concerns that were brought up to me.
Ultraviolet lights are normal, I don't mind, I don't have any problems with my work, it's just that with the iron.
Rick, go ahead.
I just gotta say, I mean, generally being a hydrogeologist, it's recommended people test their wells for bacteria every few years anyway. One of the biggest problems you usually have is buried wellheads and or wells where the grout goes bad and you got surface water going down to the well. So, and if they're shallower wells too, a lot of the old ones are shallower. So it's good for everybody to check their wells every few years for bacteria and any other, you know, sometimes metals too in the area because there's a naturally occurring lead and arsenic.
I totally agree, I do my well as well. But these folks were concerned was the trash that was dumped there, or the
It's
food.
not trash.
Okay, or the food.
Well, refer.
But that's what,
it's
then
food waste.
that's what they were concerned. That ain't how it was described to me, nor did I put it out there that it was you, Bill.
I hear-
This was being
I
brought up
hear-
again, so I'm just
I hear a
defending
lot of
myself.
rumors, I don't go run around and run my mouth if I don't know the facts.
I can only report what people in the township told me, so if somebody comes here and they say something to you, Billy, are you gonna go investigate it?
Yeah,
You would, right?
Absolutely would.
Well, that's what I did. I didn't come out and say William Trade, did I?
Yeah.
It's being brought up here inside this public session, so I had to come up here and tell you guys what it was about. And that's what I'm doing today. So that was the wells, and that was the dumping that they were concerned about.
Okay.
I would just note that the, you know, food for the animals like that's not, it's no different than manure spreading, fertilizing and stuff. It's not gonna have an impact on a properly constructed well.
I didn't say, these gentlemen were just expressing a concern to me,
In order
and I put it out there. So I didn't want to ignore them
Food waste
and be
animals.
ignorant, that's all.
In
So I
order-
put it out there, that's
In
all I
order
did.
to feed food waste animals, any meat byproducts, anything like that, you're required a garbage feeding license, which I had through the Department of Agriculture in the state.
But that,
I was 100% legal there.
I didn't say you weren't building.
Okay, so I'm just making it factual.
And just as a general comment, if people have issues that they want the township to help them with, if they have concerns, anything, it would be good for them to come to the meetings and talk to us about it, or send an email to the township manager. Because if we don't know about it, we can't help them.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Any other comments?
Mr. Hendricks.
Mr. Hendricks.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Hendricks, thank you for your patience.
Absolutely, thank you for allowing me to speak. We'll be real brief. Susan Rice is here with me this evening. Over the coming months, our group will grow as we do bring in the appropriate professionals. Once we get the professional service agreement in order, we'll ask for our professionals to be able to talk to your professionals on the more technical aspects. But kind of had a couple of initial questions up front, and I think that thought they're the best served to be brought here and get some direction. First, I guess with the Scotia Village, I'll follow up with the landowner who I'm purchasing and trying to make sure they work things out on the extension of time. That was brought up tonight. That wasn't on my list, but it was brought up. And in talking with the sewer consultant who we've hired for the project, he happened to be the one who was working on Scotia Village already for the current owners of record. So he's had interaction with your consultants. And evidently there was some work done, I don't want to qualify or quantify how much, but there's some work done for a plant to be built on Scotia Village to serve that community. My engineer is saying he feels it would be best to have that be the plant that would serve both that side of the road and the western side of Big Road or 73, because there is an actual stream there for discharge, as opposed you're going into essentially a ditch along kind of, it eventually obviously makes it to a creek, but it's not a flowing water course. Not looking for, to put your consultant on the spot, but when the time comes and we're clear to be able to have the right conversations, do you see a reason, as long as the consultant's felt is acceptable, do you see a reason why that would not be okay? I mean, if you build a plant on one side of the road or the other, I certainly don't think you want two sewer plants for properties across the street from each other. So it ends up going on one side and you pump over the hill to get to one, or you put it on the other side and pump over the hill. But just for us to start to do a bunch of initial work so that we can then communicate, answer questions, get into specifics, we kind of know which direction we're going. So I guess really just kind of making it, the simple question today is there some reason that you can think of today why you would care, other than according to your consultants, which side of the road that plant goes on? If that's a fair question. And again, we're just having early conversations, because there was a plan shown on the western side of Big Road for a sewer plant, and also one on the other side of the road. It doesn't make any sense to have two sewer plants. It isn't that many houses. So the question becomes, would there be a reason why we couldn't pursue putting on Scotia Village at this point?
Rick, what do you think?
I hadn't spoken with Fred yet, I never heard from him at that point. The only thing was, the original plans there were for just a pumping station on the Scotia Village side, and a treatment plant down adjacent to where the current Mennonite home plant is, with a discharge down at the Swamp Creek with a constructed wetlands. One of the concerns is the Scotia Creek is a much lower flow. It's already got wastewater coming in from Ivy Ridge. I'm not sure how DEP will feel about a discharge there. But it was never set up to be two separate treatment plants, because the township had always been adamant that there would be one plant. And the guys, Trim folks, were going to do a pumping station to run it over to the other side. But I mean, it's certainly something that could get looked at. I'm just not sure how the effluent limits would be with DEP with the Scotia Creek.
Yeah, I wanted to have the initial conversation here. Fred is my engineer, Fred Ebert Engineering, obviously you know Fred. Fred was working for Trim and started the initial design work on their property when they got to the point not knowing what anything would ever happen across the street or what might happen. So he had done some groundwork. If it's okay, when we have the professional service agreement squared away, if my sewer engineer can talk to your sewer engineer and then come back with some more discussion on that, but is that, whenever we get cleared here, is that the way to go ahead
Yeah.
and get some direction on that?
You know, we get some.
Okay. Second question, water. If it was up to me, I would prefer to bring water down 73, the existing public, but asking, is that something you're willing to consider? Do you want your own water plant? Do you want it to come from Schwanksville Water? Do you have strong feelings on that, or does that become a technical discussion again?
Well, my personal feelings, I want to have our own water.
Okay.
Yeah, not outsource it from anywhere.
Okay,
I can't speak for
I don't-
you fellas.
I don't think we should ever give up the water rights in the township.
okay,
No.
okay.
I agree with these other two gentlemen.
Okay. On, probably my last question, but on the larger tracts to the west of Big Road, there's two different zoning types and two different zoning districts, I should say, within the property. And oftentimes, in my experience, you've determined the number of homes that can be built, and then you try to come up with an efficient plan that everybody likes, and there's a little bit of maybe blending of those two zoning districts just within that tract. You're not getting extra houses, you're not, ignoring the fact that it's two different zonings, not proposing to build under a higher density. But there are some municipalities that look at that as though that is a hard and fast line, and if you're allowed to do one thing on one side of the line and something different on the other, you need to keep them completely separated, so there's no commingling. I think you can get a better community when you kind of look at it as a whole and say, okay, you're allowed to build this many houses, here's the mix, here's how it kind of looks like it lays out nicely. Probably something to defer to your engineer or solicitor, or I don't know, but again, it was a question, before we come in with hardline plans to show you what we would propose, that becomes a significant issue on our end in designing that plan. You have initial thoughts on that as to where I get that answer?
I know we're still waiting for information on the higher density for 55 and older.
That's on the trim side.
That,
So I know we're still waiting on that.
yes.
So,
And maybe can I just expand on
I
that
mean,
one
this is,
issue?
I mean, you're doing two separate,
They're two totally different issues.
but they're both gonna impact this township one way or another.
That's correct.
So before we get into the other one, I would rather finish if we're gonna do the 55 and older before we decide what we're gonna do with the other one.
Okay.
I don't know how you guys feel.
I think that's a good strategy.
That's
I mean,
fair to say.
I wanna make it so, it benefits
Yep,
the township.
absolutely, absolutely.
And not impact the township,
That's correct.
so.
Well, on that 55 and over, is my first stop with the planning commission on that, or back here on the initial concept? Not laying out plans, just the initial concept, and I'll really boil it down. The benefits are obvious. You're getting the taxes, you're not putting kids in the school. Your traffic's about half. We can go through and get the specifics, it's not perfectly 50, but it's a lot less, and it's all stuff done by the county, not by, my engineer or whatever. There's those benefits. Frankly, it's not as valuable to a builder or developer, so there's usually some additional amount of homes.